Welcome to Concert Pipeline. I'm Steve Jones. Today on the program we have Karla Bonoff. I had a chance to talk to Karla about her hit songs that she wrote, Tell Me Why, All My Life. We talked about her former band that she had with her sister called Brindle, the Daughters of Chester P, and former band she had Brindle with Wendy Waldman, Kenny Edwards, Andrew Gold. We went pretty deep. We had a great conversation. It was a lot of fun, and we'll get into that in just a few minutes here. Before we do, let me catch you up on what I have going on in the world. I just got back from a crabbing trip with a couple of buddies. We went out to the bay, and we knew it was going to be a bit of a challenge. The crabs are not plentiful from everything that we had heard reports of, but we wanted to go out anyway. I had a reservation to hunt on a refuge, and we toyed with doing that, but I don't think the birds would have been plentiful if we did that reservation. It wasn't looking too good for that, so we decided to try our hand at crabbing and enjoy the nice day out on the bay. So we loaded up our kayaks, left at 4:15 in the morning, and didn't look back. And we had a great little trip. We got some donuts on the way. It was quite a long drive. It's about an hour and a half out to the coast, but you get there and load up kayaks and get on the water and drop your pots. And it's been a little while since I've been out crabbing, but I love it. It's so much fun. It's a lot of fun to go crabbing. But the reports from before were absolutely true. There were not a lot of crabs to be had. I had 3 crab pots that I was dropping. My buddy John had 4, and his other buddy John had 3 crab pots as well that he was dropping. So we drop them, we check them every half an hour or so, just paddle around. I have a new Hobie kayak that I'm pretty excited about. I haven't had a chance to use yet, so it was a good opportunity to get that out on the water, and give it a test out. And it's so much more relaxing and comfortable to have a pedal kayak than to be paddling with an oar. And not for nothing, my strength is in my legs. I'm on the Peloton pretty much every day, and so my legs are pretty strong. And so paddling with my legs is nothing. And the seat was a lot more comfortable than my other 2 kayaks that I have. And so it was really enjoyable, even just to be out there on the water. And we would pull our crab pots up, and there were so many small baby crabs that we caught, baby little Dungeness crabs, and just have to throw them back because you got to have the right size crab. If you don't want to mess around with having a crab that's too small, and the baby crab, there's really no point in having that anyway. So we throw those back, but I did catch 1 keeper crab that was over 6 inches size, so it was a good, respectable size crab, which I'm going to have for dinner here in just a little bit. My buddy John caught 4 crabs, and his buddy John caught 1 crab. So I lost a crab pot also because apparently my rope wasn't long enough, and so the crab pot is out there soaking, probably catching crab, and maybe getting a couple of keeper crabs, but I'll never know. So that's unfortunate. It was a ton of fun though. And besides that, what else? I'm gearing up for my trip to the Midwest, to Green Bay. I'm going to be visiting a friend here in a week and a half. Going to see the 49ers take on the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. That's going to be a lot of fun. The weather's looking pretty decent for that day, which is good also. I don't think it's going to be raining or snowing, which it had reported a couple days before, but now that's gone, so it'll just be a little bit chilly, and I'll be able to cheer on my 49ers. So it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's go ahead and let's bring in Karla Bonoff. And so I had a chance to talk to Karla. She didn't want to use the video for the interview, so we're going to actually just, for those watching on YouTube, put a still picture up, for the course of the interview to place that off. If you're listening on Spotify or on Apple Podcast, of course, this won't affect that at all, so don't worry about that. But let's go ahead and let's bring in Karla Bonoff. And Karla, who's your furry friend that you have with you?
This is Pessy. She
Hi,
has
Passy.
allergies, so she has to keep a cone on.
Oh, hi, Passy. Very cool. How's your day treating you so far, Karla?
Oh, good. I just got back from a nice hike here,
Where are you located?
Santa Barbara, California.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And how's the weather down there right now? It's finally starting to cool down, right? So
Yeah, it's been hot now. It's kind of, we're getting marine layer stuff, foggy.
yeah, yeah. But we're starting to feel fall. I think I'm up north. I'm outside of Sacramento myself. So
Oh, great.
yes, that's very cool. Well, thank you for taking the time. I have a bunch of questions about your music and your shows and your storied careers, but I like starting at the beginning. So why don't you tell me a little bit about the musical environment in your household? What were your parents playing? That you're listening to, that sort of thing.
My parents listened to all kinds of music, a lot of show tunes and Frank Sinatra, and my dad loved jazz like Benny Goodman, and so it was pretty varied. My mom taught classical piano, so she made sure we had piano lessons. So it was a mixture, classical music, jazz, and then of course when I got to be around 12 or 13, I started listening to folk music and taking guitar lessons, and I think my dad took me to see Peter, Paul, and Mary at the Hollywood Bowl. That was
Wow.
first concert ever.
That's a memorable first concert, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
And the Hollywood Bowl, I've never had a chance to go to a show there, but I mean, I've seen pictures. Just looks like an amazing place to see a show.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful outdoor, canyon where you're outside, and it's been there for probably, God, well over 100 years. So
Yeah, yeah. Uh, One that I've talked to a lot of bands about that's the kind of similar feel. It sounds like is Red Rocks, and I finally made the voyage out there a couple years ago, and it's beautiful. It's incredible.
nothing compares to Red Rocks. I mean, not even the Hollywood Bowl. Red Rocks is a pretty astounding place. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so you started writing your own music pretty young as well. Like what got you into writing music?
I think, I was taking guitar lessons and playing a lot of acoustic guitar. And then that first Joni Mitchell album came out, and my sister and I were so inspired by that. I think I just started writing melodies, and she started writing lyrics, and we put them together, and we were both playing acoustic guitar. And I just think that record really kind of triggered a lot for me, in terms of, wow, we could write songs about stuff. So um, that's kind of how it began. And then, of course, listening to a lot of other artists, for me, Laura Nyro, James Taylor. So I started playing more piano again and writing on piano. And my sister went back to college, and I got in a band then called Brindle with Kenny Edwards, Wendy Waldman, and Andrew Gold. And we all started writing together and recording in around
Yeah.
1970.
In the group you had with your sister Lisa, the Daughters of Chester P. Tell me kind of about what type of music was it that you made with your sister? Was she older or younger?
She was a little older, and like I said, we were playing two acoustic guitars, writing songs, sort of Joni Mitchell, inspired by Joni Mitchell at the time, Judy Collins, Jackson Brown, who was around the Troubadour when we were playing those open mic nights at the Troubadour in those days, and people were writing their own songs. So I mean, it was singer-songwriter type songs.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me about the vibe of the Troubadour when you were there and you're seeing these what are now legends, but they were just playing such small shows back then. Tell me what that experience was like.
Well, the Troubadour during the week had national acts, so big acts who already had records would come through and play, a week or two at a time, like Judy Collins or Joan Baez or God, Elton John, all kinds of people. But on Monday nights they had this open mic night, which wasn't that easy to get on because there weren't that many slots, but you'd have to line up at the box office and sign up for it. I used to cut school and go sit out in front of the Troubadour and wait for them to open the box office at 6:30 so we could get on those. But I mean, it was exciting time because there was a lot of record company people there. They had the bar there, and all the record company people would hang out there. And if someone good would come on stage, they'd come in and listen. And you know, people got signed to record deals on those Mondays. I remember seeing Seals and Crofts play one of those. And after they got off stage, just all these record company people swarmed them. I mean, it was just like watching that stuff happen. It was pretty amazing. You know, I watched Jackson Browne do a lot of those Monday nights without a record deal for quite a while. And you just hear him play these incredible songs and go, what's wrong with these people? Why aren't they signing him? So it was a pretty neat time. And a lot of people, it was a place where people met other people. Because, I mean, I grew up in Los Angeles, so I was already there. But a lot of people came to Los Angeles because of music, and that's kind of how they met each other. That's how Glenn Frey met J.D. Souther, and how they met Don Henley. And I mean, that and Ronstadt, that's how the Eagles were formed. So it was kind of a center for people to, you know, to meet each other.
Yeah, and did you like socialize with a lot of these artists back then too? Like, I mean, were you talking to Jackson Browne? Did you meet Elton John?
I didn't meet Elton John, but I mean, the people that were playing on the Monday nights socialized with each other. And yes, and we started to do some little local shows together. My sister and I did a show with J.D. Souther and Glenn Frey, who were called Long Branch Pennywhistle at the time, in a little tiny club called Artie Fat Buckles. So, you know, and then we played high school. That was a school that Andrew Gold and Wendy Waldman went to, Oakwood School. We did some concerts there. So, I mean, the Troubadour was the center of it, but then everyone was also trying to play whatever little local shows they could play. And there were some up and down the coast. There was one down in San Juan Capistrano we used to all do. I can't remember the name of it now, but yeah, so there was a lot of people getting together, forming bands, writing songs.
Yeah. And you mentioned JD Souther a couple of times, and you were supposed to go on tour with JD recently, but then he passed in September. You know, tell me kind of about how that formed and the closeness of your friendship there.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I met JD when he was 21, I think, and I was 17, something like that. And we had decided it finally would be fun for us to go out and play, you know, go on stage together and do a whole show together and play both of our songs. And I had just been with him in August, and we had rehearsed, and we were going to do our first show in September, actually, up in your area. And he just passed away suddenly. So, I mean, that's a huge loss. I really regret we didn't get to do the show. I just came across the set list the other day, and I was like, oh God, what a bummer.
Oh.
Just ready to do it. We were about a week away from doing it. So, but I had a really good time. I went out to his place in Albuquerque, and we rehearsed, and we were playing Best of My Love and New Kid in Town and Heartache Tonight and Faithless Love and all those songs. So at least I got to sit with him and sing and play all those songs one more time. So I know he had just been out on the road, and he'd done a successful little run of shows, and he was in good spirits. So you know, you just never know when you're going to lose people like that. It's really hard. It's been hard for me.
Yeah, I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Yeah. Did you get to record any of the last like practice sessions you had with him? Like,
Oh God, I wish we did. And we were saying that. I had texted with him that last week before he passed away, because we were trying to remember some parts and stuff. And I said, God, why didn't we record? I had my phone there. I really should have. I didn't. So now I've got like my text with him saved and one voicemail on my landline. You know how that is. It's like, oh God. But you know, he had a great run and a good life and wrote some amazing songs. I'm gonna learn one of his songs and hopefully play it on the road coming up here. You know, things change every day, and I'm just grateful I can still be out there on the road playing.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And was your first album Restless Nights?
No, my first album was just my name, Karla Bonoff.
Oh, right, self-titled. The self-titles was the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. And Restless Nights was my second album.
Yeah. And so when you went in to record for the first time for this project, tell me kind of what was that like for you? Was it comfortable and did it feel natural?
Well, I've been working on those songs for 10 years. So,
Uh,
and Kenny Edwards, who is my boyfriend through a lot of that time, and also a great musician, a bass player for Linda Ronstadt. We've been playing those songs live and arranging them. And so we were super ready to make that first record. Um, so all we really needed to do was just call in some great musicians, Russ Kunkel, Lee Sklar, Waddy
mm.
Wachtel, JD Souther sang on stuff, James Taylor. So those were really easy, wonderful, fun sessions. And yeah, it was really fun making that record.
Yeah. You mentioned Lee Sklar. I love the Media Family, the group that they have together, all the session players, is really cool. We've had them on a couple of times, and they're really fun guys. Waddy and everything, like yeah,
Yes.
they're good. Yeah. Uh, yeah, and so I want to kind of dive into a little bit. Oh, well, first, you went to high school with Bonnie Raitt. Did you know her back then? Did you kind of?
She went to my high school for a couple of years, and then I think she went to a private school, and I don't really think I met her back then. I think my sister knew her brother. I don't remember actually meeting her, but I know she did go to University High School in West Los Angeles. Yeah.
And obviously you met her since, and so tell me kind of, I mean, did you have like a bond over kind of going to the same high school?
I don't know if we've ever talked about that. Maybe once. Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember if we've talked about that. That's yeah, none of us wanted to be in that high school. We wanted to be playing music.
Get out of here, get on the road, you play the show, record the music, play the shows, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned Brindle earlier. Tell me, I'm really curious about the Brindle a little bit because you created this album, and I'm assuming you put a lot of work into this album with the other members of the band, and then it just didn't pan out. The album got shelved by the record company and never got released, right?
Right. Yeah, they didn't really, I don't know. They didn't really, this was before Fleetwood Mac, and you really didn't have a lot of groups with two girls or two guys writing songs. And I mean, there've been the Mamas and Papas, but nothing like what we were doing. So I don't think they quite understood it. And I think we weren't quite there. I think it would have been good if they'd kept us on and let us work at it a little more. They kind of dropped us before we kind of had it together. The record was never really even mixed and mastered. So, we went and worked in a top 40 bar for a while, and it kind of fell apart. And Andrew and Kenny went and joined Linda Ronstadt's band at that point, and Wendy went ahead and made her own solo album for Warner Brothers. So, it was, we did get back together later and make the
Yeah.
records that we wanted to make, but I think we were a little too young and a little disorganized, and we weren't good at sort of handling the business part of it at that point. That probably was the wrong label for us. And it's overwhelming, I think, when you're 19 or 20 and you suddenly have a record deal. You just don't really know how to, I don't know. We just didn't have good guidance, really.
Yeah. When you reunited, I know you reunited a couple times over the years in the '90s and the mid 2000s also, and did a tour. Like, what was that reunion like? Did it feel like right at home? Did you revisit the original songs, or did you say, okay, let's listen to it, but let's start fresh and make some new music?
Yeah, I think what we decided to do, because on the first record we had all written our own songs separately, and in between times I had made a couple records, and Wendy had moved to Nashville and produced records, and Andrew had made records and had hit records. So I mean, by the time we came back together, we obviously were, much older, and I had a lot more experience, and we decided that we should write all the songs together. So that's what we did. We sat down together and wrote the songs so that it would have more of a sense of a band. So that first one we did, and we made some of it in Nashville. I'm glad we did that. We didn't know we were going to lose Kenny and Andrew so young either. So we made a couple more albums, and they weren't huge successes, but for us, I think they came out really good.
Yeah. What was it like for you being on American Bandstand? Like that must have been a crazy experience, right? Because that was huge. It's not like just like being on some show today. I mean, you're there with Dick Clark, and and he's talking to the members of your band, and you're just, and what was that experience like for you?
I mean, it's weird because I mean, I grew up watching Dick Clark. I remember being 6 or 7 and 8 and watching Dick Clark and learning the dances and stuff. So when you're actually there, it's just like being in a weird time capsule or something because he did it for so long. Yeah, and it's such a classic show. So I mean, there's something about doing that. You just feel, wow, I guess it's just so much part of your DNA and your history. It was really, that was cool to do that. And it is on YouTube, so I watch it sometimes. It cracks me up. My voice is like really nervous talking to.
Yeah, yeah, and he of course was asking you about like recording these songs for other people, and wanting to do your own stuff and everything, and
Right.
I'll ask you all these years later, the same sort of question. How, when you hear the others kind of record the, versions of these songs that you wrote, do you connect more kind of with your version, or with like Linda Ronstadt or Wynona Judd? Like, where do these songs land for you today?
Yeah, it's always hard for me to kind of hear someone else do them. I don't know why. I mean, I love that they do them and I respect that they do them, but it just feels different. And it's always kind of a little awkward, like, oh, wow, I wouldn't have sung that way. But it's kind of a mixed blessing. It's hard to explain, it's like, it's just so great for me when Linda did my songs, I was completely unknown. And so it changed my life. And but she sang them differently than I did. So it's really just a question of some people like hers better, some people like mine better. I loved Bonnie Raitt's version of Home. She did it really differently than I did. So it's kind of a song by song thing. But
Yeah.
it's always great to hear someone else do your song, especially the first time I heard it, like Linda doing one of my songs on the radio.
That's pretty cool, yeah. And Eric Neville too. Like, I mean, like he's got this voice that's so unique, like brings something else to it. But
Right.
but it comes from your words, right? So like I don't know, it's pretty incredible. It's like you're kind of part of something that's bigger. I remember like those songs in talking about songs in household growing up. I remember those songs, my mom would play them and stuff. So like it kind of stands the test of time a bit, right?
Yeah, I remember when Linda and Aaron were recording that, they didn't really know it that well because I just kind of pitched the song to them like just a few days earlier, and they were in the studio. I think I was in bed in my pajamas watching TV, and Linda called me and she goes, "Can you come down here and help us with this?" And it's like, whoa, okay. And so I went. They were at Ocean Way in Hollywood, and I went in the studio, and she was here on the mic, and he was here, and she said, "Just kind of sing it with us." And I was like, wow, this is intense. I've got Aaron here and her here. And so they just kind of wanted a little coaching. And yeah, so that was really cool. And then Aaron, of course, he's such an amazing singer. So yeah, that was a great surprise. I didn't really know I said, here, I have an idea. This might be a good song for a duet. And then all of a sudden she calls me like at 9 o'clock at night. Hi, we're recording your song. Can you come down? It's like, oh,
You're like, do I change out of my pajamas or do I keep them on? Is that how are we going in, right? So,
yeah.
yeah, but the answer is yes when you get that call, I'm sure. So,
Right. Yeah. So
yeah,
yeah, and that was a good song for them. So they won a Grammy for Best Vocal Duo Performance, I think.
wouldn't have been there without you, right? So, uh, yeah, Goodbye, My Friend is, and I don't know how many people know this, but it's about you're losing a cat. Like,
Yes.
yeah, tell me kind of about that experience writing that song, but also kind of any stories you may have about people sharing, because I'm sure that's connected with people in different ways.
Yeah, I lost one of my favorite cats ever. It was 16 and he got out by accident and I could never find him. And it was just, that grief sometimes when you lose a special pet is just overwhelming. For people who have pets know that. And I just couldn't get over it. And I thought, I'm just, I thought I would just do it as therapy. I'm just gonna like write a song that no one will hear because it's just gonna be for me, because it's gonna be like totally and I really just didn't judge it at all because I didn't really think, oh, I'm writing this for a record, or it was like, no one will hear this. I'm just going to sort of do it like you would be journaling or something, just to purge your grief. And that's where it came from. And then a couple of weeks later, I went, this is actually a pretty good song. And so I ended up recording it. And it's been used for people, for funerals, for human people funerals. And I mean, at first, a couple people found out it was about my cat. I think they got a little bit like, oh, that's weird, because we used it at my dad's funeral. But most people say to me that they just love the fact that it was about my cat, and they understand that. And I became friends with my veterinarian here, and she said actually she gives people a copy of that when they lose their kitties, because she said it helped people, So yeah, so that just came, that's one of those things about songwriting, when you get out of your own way and you don't edit yourself or think, what will so and so think of this, or will this work on this record? And then that, I think, then the great kind of pure emotion can come out. And so that taught me a lesson about just, what, you just have to just write from that place, and try to get that other voice that's always judging things out of the way.
Yeah. You had a break from when you put out albums kind of between 2007 to 2019 or so, I'd say, right? Like, did you just need a separation from making music? Were you continuing to write music and didn't just, what was that period like for you?
I think for me, the music business has changed so much that I wasn't quite sure how to go about writing and making music, and not having record deals. And so then you have to finance it yourself, and how do you, it just became kind of confusing to me how to do it. And financially kind of questionable because of streaming. It's hard to make money making records anymore. And so you have to find out, you either have to get a record deal where they don't pay you very much, or you have to try to finance it yourself. And that's not easy. If you don't have, I don't have a home recording studio, and I'm not good at that. So I have to pay someone to do it. So it's just become something that I think is a little more daunting for me. So I've really focused more on touring, more than on making records and writing at this point.
Yeah, well, the tour, yeah, I mean, you're right, right? I mean, Spotify is, not paying anything. I mean, unless you're at a certain, a certain level, right? I mean, that is, and at that point, you don't really need it necessarily. But touring, I mean, touring is where obviously the continued support for careers, right? So and so when you kind of made that call, "Carry Me Home," tell me kind of going back and making new music, and also you did a cover of Jackson Brown's "Something Fine" in there as well. You mentioned Jackson Brown earlier. Tell me kind of about pulling that together.
I think, Nina Gerber and I have been playing on the road for a lot of years, just the two of us, and the music had kind of, evolved into something different than those records were. And I just thought, I feel like, I should make a record that sounds like I sound today. And so she came on a weekend, and we just recorded as much as we could. And so that's where most of that came from. I did have that new song, Carry Me Home. The Jackson Brown song was recorded for a tribute to Jackson. That was an album that was put out prior to that I participated in. I can't remember the name of it, but a lot of different artists recorded his songs. And so that was on that record. And so I just decided to include it in that collection because I thought it came out really good.
Right, right. I'm curious if you still have plans to do Christmas shows because you or holiday shows because you did like a Christmas album too.
I did a Christmas album, and then I thought, I know I need to have someone go out and do this with me, because I can't handle the whole Christmas song. I need somebody really up and cheerful to do it. So Livingston Taylor came to mind because he's great at just keeping things up and positive. So we did a combined kind of Christmas thing together, and we did it for a couple years. We'll probably do it again. We're taking a break from it this year.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have fond holiday memories that kind of made you want to write a Christmas album, kind of pull that together?
Yeah, I loved Christmas at my house. I mean, I have a Jewish family, but I don't know, we weren't very Jewish. We celebrated Christmas. So Christmas was a big deal in my house. And yeah, as a kid, I just have really fond memories of that. So the Christmas album came about really by accident. It was because of COVID. After a couple months of just sitting around not doing anything, my friend Sean, who has a studio here, said, this is going to go on for a long time. We should do something. And I said, what? And he goes, I don't know. Let's record a Christmas song. So we just did it for fun. We went and did Silent Night, and it was just to sort of not be, we were all sitting around watching Netflix and drinking too much wine. And he said, we got to do something constructive. So we did that one. It came out great. And he said, let's just keep going. So we just kept recording. And by that, we started in June. I think by the fall, we had almost a whole CD. And so my manager said, I don't know, let's just put it out there. And it got picked on the New York Times top 20 Christmas albums for the year. So I never would have done that. It was just a complete, let's just do something to occupy our time while we're waiting for our touring to start again.
Mm-hmm. And when you were able to tour for that, for that album, when you were able to do the Christmas shows, what were those like? Like, how does those differ for you from a normal show?
It was completely different from a normal show because we had to, include all those Christmas songs and plus do them with Livingston. So we had to rehearse for us to do them all together, he and I and Sean McHugh. We did a couple of our own classic songs in there too. People get really bored if it's just all Christmas. So I did Home, The Water's Wide, and, some other songs that kind of work during the holidays. The hard thing about doing a Christmas tour is you only have a couple weekends to do it.
Yeah.
And do the couple weekends after Thanksgiving and that's it. So you can't really tour it all year. And also, the weather can be really bad that time of year. So it's a little iffy doing that December East Coast,
It's hard to get people out to shows around that time too. If a lot of
Yeah.
bands take time off for themselves, a lot of times,
Yeah. So, it was a good experiment. I'm not sure, we'll maybe do it again.
Yeah, sometime. Yeah, you mentioned it being New York Times bestseller. I wanted to mention something else about the New York Times, that you were a clue on or an answer on the New York Times, as well in the crossword puzzle.
Yeah, I thought I hit the big time when I saw that.
It's like being a Jeopardy clue, right? Sort of thing. You're like, oh, this is amazing.
All of a sudden, my phone was blowing up, and I went, "What's going on?" It's like people, "You're a clue in the New York Times crossword puzzle." It was great.
That's so cool. That's so cool. One other thing we talked about kind of with Goodbye My Friend being, the song that people use at like funerals and other, occasions. Fans have told you that they've gotten married to All My Life. Tell me if I can kind of that other kind of juxtaposed position of writing a song that's that influential.
I hear that a lot. And also this other song that I wrote with Wendy Waldman standing right next to me. People get married to those two songs all the time, and they tell me that, and they come to the shows, or it's our anniversary, we got married to your song. So that's neat. Yeah,
that's so cool. That's so cool. I wanted to hear about the Purple Rain premiere, and I'm just bouncing all over the place a little bit, but you went to the Purple Rain premiere in 1984. Was Prince there?
I have to admit, I saw that picture recently, and it popped up online, and I have absolutely no recollection of going to that.
It's like people tell you were there, though.
I went to the Purple Rain premiere. I absolutely do not remember it. I don't know why. I looked at it, I went, oh, I look pretty nice. And yeah, and I went with Christopher Cross, and it just completely blew me away. I had no idea. I don't remember. I don't think Prince was there. I would have remembered that.
That would be something you're like, I mean, if he was, right? Like, you're going to be asked about this 40 years from now on a podcast. So come on, it's something you need to remember.
I don't know. The 80s, there's some weird years there in the 80s that I don't know how present I was. I guess I just don't remember. Yeah.
after a while, there's a lot to pack in, and you have so many experiences that you're like, okay, I guess I have a vague recollection, or but it's
I
not.
mean, I do have a vague recollection. I mean, I know I remember seeing the movie, and it probably was like, I don't know, Grauman's Chinese or some big theater.
Mhm.
But those kinds of things, those sort of star-studded premieres are always a little uncomfortable. So maybe that's why I don't remember it.
Yeah, yeah,
Walking the red carpet, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. um, Hasten Down the Wind with Linda Ronstadt. You wrote three songs for that album. Did you work with her directly on writing the songs, or did you hand those songs to her?
I had those songs already.
Mhm.
I'd written them for myself, and she was looking for songs. And so the first one she decided to do was Someone to Lay Down Beside Me. And then she did two more there, If He's Ever Near, and what was the third one? Can't remember now. Oops, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I already had those songs written, and she just started gobbling them up for that record. So it was pretty exciting for me. I think it was
yeah,
Trouble Again. Maybe it was Trouble Again. Yeah.
nice, cool. So tell me about your tour that you have coming up. How do you plan what songs you're going to do? Is it a full band, mostly acoustic?
I still just go out with Nina Gerber, who's an
Yeah.
incredible Bay Area guitarist. People know her really well up there. She played with Kate Wolf when she was 16. And so we're going to do our normal show. And hopefully maybe if I can get the song that JD's learned, I'll do that. And so it's just what we've been doing for over 20 years. We go out and do it. We haven't been up in the Bay Area for a while, so yeah, it's a good 90 minutes. It's the two of us. She plays electric guitar and some acoustic. I play piano and acoustic guitar and tell a lot of stories, and it's a good show.
Yeah, that's really cool. I know you're playing Livermore, you're playing Saratoga, you're playing Berkeley, and I mean, I'd love to see the show, but I'm going to be in Wisconsin
Oh,
at that time. So a friend invited me to the Packers 49ers game. So
oh, nice, nice.
so so I'm going to be
Maybe
out
next
east.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But what are some fond memories you have of playing shows in the Bay Area as we kind of wind out here?
Oh, well, playing Freight and Salvage in Berkeley is classic, and we played the old one, they have a new one now, but so that goes back so many years, it's so much history. So I love playing the Freight. I haven't played the venue in Livermore before. That's a new one to me. That was a show I was going to do with JD. And so they kind of rescheduled it for me to do it in coming up there in November. And then the other one, what is the other one? Third one? Oh,
Uh, the Saratoga one, right?
Saratoga, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful venue. That's a beautiful spot. We've played that one probably 3 or 4 times before. So um love going down there. Yeah. So and Nina's local and she brings her dog. And so we'll drive around in the car with the dog and we'll have a good time.
Did you play shows in the Bay Area in like the 70s too, like that far back, or what do you remember as of like the early times of being here?
We always did. Yeah, we played, there was a place called, oh, what was that place? Where did we play
The
back in the 70s in the Bay Area? It's slipping my mind.
the Fillmore?
No, it
No.
was something else, and it was called,
Oh.
it's not coming to my mind. We played smaller clubs up there back in the 70s, so I can't remember the names of them right at the moment. It'll come to me after we're not talking.
It's okay, I know, right? It always comes back later. They come back later. And are you writing new music? Are you like planning another album in the future?
I've kind of just recently I found these cassettes of a bunch of old fragments, and
Oh,
I realized I didn't have a cassette player, so I bought a cassette player on Amazon for like $7, right?
yes, I love it.
So that I could listen to them. And I listened to them the other day and went, wow, there's some good stuff there. So I have a bunch of good music on there. I need to just relearn it because I don't remember them and write some lyrics. So yeah, I think so.
I like it. I love that you have a cassette player. My son actually wants one, and his birthday's next week. I should get him one.
They're really
But but he, it's been repopularized a little bit because of Stranger Things, set in the '80s, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm like, okay, you can have the cassette player, but then you need cassettes for the cassette player, and those are not going to be cheap 40 years later, you know.
Maybe you'll find them like in thrift stores and stuff.
Got to start digging around. I know.
Yeah.
I
They're
totally
probably,
forgot that was on his list of things he wanted. I didn't get it for him, but you reminded me. So
yeah, they have Walkman still. I had my original Walkman from 1980 that I was given in Japan. I just tried it and I don't know, it was all broken. I had to give it away. So I bought this one for $7.95, I think.
it does the trick, right?
Especially with headphones, you can get it. Yeah.
That's really cool. Well, Karla, thank you for taking the time today. I appreciate it, and I hope the tour upcoming goes really well for you. And
Thank
uh,
you. If anyone's looking for the dates and the tickets times, they can go to karlabonoff.com and to our show page and they'll find everything there.
perfect. Well, you have a good rest of your day, okay? And
Thank you so much.
we'll see you up north soon.
Okay. Take
All right.
care.
That was my interview with Karla Bonoff here in Concert Pipeline, and that takes us to the final segment on the program, the music news. Couple stories to wind us out today. Actually, a handful of stories. So let's start with a darker one, and then we'll work our way lighter, I think, a little bit. So I think many people had heard about Liam Payne, former member of One Direction, and how he had died falling off of a third floor balcony uh, at a hotel. Well, the toxicology report came back and said that he had cocaine, alcohol, and antidepressants in his system at the time of death. That was all 72 hours prior to his death. He had those traces of those items. He died on October 16th at the age of 31. This was in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and and so that seems to be the cause of his untimely fall. And the National Criminal and Correctional Prosecutor's Office, number 14, had it revealed that his toxicology results are in and were communicated to his family. The conclusion was reached after the complete toxicology test on urine, blood, and vitreous humor. Elsewhere in the press release, it revealed that 3 people have been arrested and charged in Argentina in connection with Payne's death. So I wonder if those are the people that sold him the drugs or provided them to him, because that's pretty interesting. But Grammy Award-winning producer Sam Pounds, who worked with Payne shortly before his death, shared that he would be releasing a new song by the late singer on November 1st. So the song is titled "Do Not Wrong." It was set to be released in 3 forms: the original, an a cappella version, and a live mix. The announcement was divisive and subsequently met with backlash from many who felt it was too soon after Payne's death to share it. Sounds like he's trying to profit. And it's after November 1st now, so I'm not sure if those came out or not, but you can look that up if you are interested. Okay. There was a busker, Red Hot Chili Peppers busker, who had no idea he was performing one of their classic tracks in front of Chad Smith. This video went viral after this talented drummer has been viewed more than 64 million times on TikTok alone. He was filmed jamming away on Santa Monica's 3rd Street Promenade to a rendition of the band's 1999 hit song "Other Side." Sitting opposite was the band's drummer, nodding along to the busker's rendition of the track. The person who captured the moment captioned the video, "Who wants to tell him?" before adding the description, "Imagine shooting hoops in front of Michael Jordan and not even realizing it." The drummer himself, Armand Davis, later shared the video on his own TikTok page and admitted that he didn't know that Smith was watching him. He said, "Yesterday I played Other Side by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and halfway through I noticed someone really vibing, which isn't unusual. But when I finished, a few people told me I just played for Chad Smith, the drummer of Red Hot Chili Peppers. Hearing him say I sounded good on the track he's known for, completely surreal. I can't wait to see where this journey takes me next." And earlier this year, Oasis guitarist Bonehead gifted a busker in Glasgow tickets to one of Liam Gallagher's definitely maybe anniversary shows in the city after they performed the band's 1994 hit Half the World Away. Dua Lipa also reacted to a busker who performed to her while at this year's Glastonbury Festival. So anyway, lots of busking happening, and people getting rewarded for doing a great job busking. But what's funny about the Chad Smith video is that Chad was the only one sitting there. There's no one else. So this guy either didn't know what Chad Smith looked like, or was just oblivious that he was just sitting there about 20 feet or so away from him. Not that far. It's pretty awesome. I've seen the video. Okay. Paul Stanley says that Kiss's Avatar show will be Cirque du Soleil meets Star Wars and a Kiss concert. They're going to launch their hologram show in 2027, created by the team behind ABBA Voyage. And the future production will be overseen by Pop House Entertainment, company behind ABBA's Voyage show, in which the Swedish pop group were represented by holographic virtual avatars on stage. Pop House acquired Kiss's catalog, brand name, and IP in April, where the band first unveiled their new era and the final show off their farewell tour last December in Madison Square Garden. After leaving the stage, the band members' avatars were revealed, and they went on to perform God Gave You Rock and Roll to You. Shortly afterwards, the band's co-founder, Gene Simmons, confirmed that the band's virtual avatars will get better and revealed that about $200 million is being invested into the technology. They've shared a teaser clip also, said 50 years is a long time, and what the future holds is in the making. And 2027, a show is coming. So we will see what that looks like, but it might be pretty entertaining. Okay. Alien Ant Farm's Drayden Mitchell kicks CKY off the tour after frontman Chad I. Ginsberg punches him in the face. Sadly, Chad from CKY hasn't figured out how to cohabitate with others after all these years, is what he said. And the two bands announced a tour back in April, and a string of shows in the UK began last month with the opening night of the leg set to take place in Margate's Dreamland. But in a post on Instagram earlier today, Mitchell has confirmed that CKY is no longer a part of the tour. There's a physical altercation, and he said they're no longer going to be on the Alien Ant Farm tour through the rest of the UK shows after Chad punched me in the face earlier today. I've watched him treat multiple crew members and opening band members like trash through the Europe shows and cause general drama around our camp. Before the last Europe shows, I went to Chad and asked if he had any issues with anyone specifically and if he wanted to have a meeting with the whole crew and bands to discuss what's going on. He ended up he upended the table in the dressing room and threw his phone and then canceled their show. Well, he punched me in the face and pretty much ran away like I imagine he'll do for all of his future problems. He continued, I'm grateful for my sobriety and grateful that I didn't retaliate physically in any way whatsoever. I would love these shows to continue and apologize to all the CKY fans for Chad's behavior. We have zero hard feelings for Jess and Elvis in CKY and are gutted to see them go, but I will never knowingly put myself in volatile situations, so this had to end. That is disappointing, I'll say. I've seen CKY live once, and their album Infiltrate, Destroy, Rebuild is one that just I loved for years. Like it was for a moment, it was my favorite album. I could play it beginning to end and just love that album completely. And I met them once. I drove to Anaheim to see CKY in the rain and back from the Bay Area, there and back just without stop. Their concert back home, and it got to an 8 a.m. college class the next morning in Napa. And for CKY, because I really dug them, and their live performance wasn't amazing. It was fine, but it was one of those young, Steve moments of like, let's live life on the edge and do it, live it to the fullest. And it's a bummer to hear that he's a prick. So sorry about that. Okay. The MTV EMAs happened, I guess. That's the Europe Music Awards. Taylor Swift won big, and Rita Ora paid tribute to Liam Payne at the MTV EMAs. I wasn't even aware this was really a thing. And Taylor Swift is from America, so I don't understand. Is this just a festival or an award show that happens overseas, or if bands overseas are supposed to be recognized? I don't know. But of course, if Taylor Swift is in the running for things, she's going to win. So congratulations, Taylor Swift. And our last story, is about 100-year-old Jimmy Carter. He received his 10th Grammy Award nomination for a spoken word album. This is about a month after he turned 100. And last Sundays in Plains, a centennial celebration. The 10-track album features renditions of classic songs such as America the Beautiful and Amazing Grace, sung by Darius Rucker and Leanne Rimes, and includes recordings from Carter's on Sunday school lessons at Marathana Baptist Church in his hometown of Plains, Georgia. Let's celebrate and honor President Carter's remarkable wisdom through the jubilant power of music, says Kabir Segal, the longtime Carter family friend who orchestrated the music. In a statement about the album's release, his teachings have inspired us all. Music is a perfect medium to express the joy and gratitude we feel for him. That's pretty cool. I hope he makes it to the Grammy Award show. 100 is quite a milestone, and and I know he's kind of struggling, and I think he's been on hospice for a while. So we'll see how that turns out. But congratulations, President Carter. All right, that is our show for today. Thank you for tuning in. Next week on the program, we have Mark Burchard for the 4th time on Concert Pipeline. We had a really fun chat. I look forward to sharing that. Mark, if you're interested in seeing Mark Burchard, he's going to play the Sweetwater in Mill Valley on November 14th and 15th this week. So definitely puts on a great show. Recommend checking it out. Get out there and see some good live music. So for all of us here at Concert Pipeline, I'm Steve Jones. We'll catch you next time.